Facebook says it wants to make the world more open and connected, and yet it's quietly been developing software to appease the Chinese censors. Well, that's according to the New York Times anyway. If the story is true, Facebook is clearly hoping to be readmitted to China after being blocked a few years ago.
Places the highest paying and most impactful jobs. 很糟糕所以我邀请马云。
Well, Natan Edelsberg is the executive editor of the social TV blog Found Remote. He joins us now from New York. Natan, thank you very much for joining us once again on Money Talks.
Thanks.
Just to be clear, this is a New York Times report. They're quoting current and former Facebook employees. Do you think it's likely to be true?
I think it's likely to be true that they're quoting former Facebook employees. I think the New York Times has a very high standard of ethical journalism and vets their sources. So there's no doubt that it's definitely Facebook employees telling them this, in my mind.
Okay, but the fact is, Facebook comes up with a lot of ideas that it proposes to China in their back and forth negotiations, and some of them never see the light of day. That's pretty much said in the article itself. So do you think if they go ahead with this, it'll see a big backlash reputationally in the West particularly?
Yes, I think it definitely will. I think that the timing of all this is very ironic, or maybe even a little bit suspicious, in that it comes after all the news requesting Facebook limits that fake news. So it sounds like the same critics who might be against there being fake news on the site, which one might describe as censorship itself, might also critique the fact that in China, they might do the same thing. But I think the fact is it's way too early to tell what it means. I think in the long term, it's a good thing that Facebook's trying to work with such a big market. And I think everyone's going to be watching very closely to see if they do it ethically.
Yeah, ethically. I mean, they're talking about, in the article, giving third parties the software, and it won't be using it itself. So local partners in China, perhaps. Do you think that would work? I mean, they want to actually stop certain subjects even coming up in people's news feeds.
I think it would be horrifying. I think it would be a terrible thing to do. I think it would go against all of Facebook's beliefs. And, I think that there's so much unknown about what this is that I think if the story continues to become bigger, if it's something Facebook actually pursues, there's no doubt that I think Mark Zuckerberg, as he always does, will talk about it and try and be as open as possible. But I think it's definitely a bit scary, and I think that it's something that the media should be watching closely.
And not only that, I mean, you have to ask where you draw the line. China's a big player and has the clout, but other countries are going to want Facebook to do something similar for them.
Yeah, well said. It's a slippery slope, and I think that everyone's, hoping that Facebook does the right thing and doesn't, create any censorship just to appease a government. And I think, frankly, the good news is forward-thinking internet users in China have found workarounds to get on Facebook anyway by using, VPNs, which allow them to pretend that they're an internet in different locations. So yes. I think that the good part is many of China's internet users probably already using Facebook.
Natan Edelsberg, thank you for your analysis. Appreciate it. Thank you. From